Color theory can be scary, but it won't be after this quick video where I'll cover everything you need to know in just a couple of minutes, because I know you have no attention span. I got you. I'm Mark. I used to be a senior artist at Blizzard Entertainment, and now I teach art for a living. If you've been struggling to find the right colors for your drawing, or if you've just been curious about learning more about colors, this is the class for you. Oh, let's get this class started. First things first, when we talk color theory, we gotta get on the same page regarding the basics. So here's the chromatic circle. Here we have all the colors of the rainbow. This is what white light is made out of, because when you add all of these colors together, you get the color white. What we see here though is only a fraction of all the colors that we're able to use in art, because it only represents the hue of the color. What the heck is the hue? The hue represents the position on the chromatic circle. It's a light frequency, basically. The closer it is to purple, the higher the frequency, like a bunch of tiny waves. And of course, the closer it is to red, the lower the frequency is, like bigger, slower waves. And fun fact, lower frequencies like red light travel further than high frequencies, so that's why it's the last color we're able to see at sunset. All the other ones get absorbed by the atmosphere first. And when we talk about colors as artists, though, we're really talking about the hue, the value, and the saturation all combined. That's what makes a color. So colors can be either bright or dark, saturated or desaturated, and of different hues or different frequencies. But you knew all of that already, didn't you? So let's move on to color temperature. And I'm going over these characteristics of colors because I think it's helpful to know why things appear the way they do. It would be kind of weird, you know, to be a chef and have no idea where flour comes from, for example, right? I think it's the same thing with art, kinda. But not only that, those characteristics like color temperature will help us understand right away why maybe some paintings that you made recently didn't look quite right. And you felt like it had to do with the colors, but you know, maybe you couldn't figure out what exactly. Well, if you have a good balance between warm and cool colors in any painting, it's going to be very hard for it to look bad. In other words, if you balance the warm colors that you use, like your yellows, reds, lime greens, and the cool ones like blue, purple, cyan, the results should usually be pretty good. Like here, for example, all of these colors could be considered warm. Overall, the painting gives a suffocating vibe, almost like a really hot and humid summer day. Now, don't get me wrong though, that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? So maybe that's exactly what you were going for. But if you don't necessarily want people to feel that way, like to feel suffocating when they look at your drawing, well, that's where the idea of balance comes into play. If we just added back the little bit of cool colors that we were missing, suddenly this feels a lot more pleasing to the eye. Even if you weren't an artist or weren't interested in art and couldn't really tell, you know, why you prefer one over the other, most people would still say on average that this one does look better. It's science, and it's something that you should use in your art. But cool colors being on this side of the chromatic circle and warm colors being on this one is a pretty simplistic way to look at things. In reality, color temperature is relative. So warm colors can feel cool and cool colors can feel warm. It all depends on the colors they're adjacent to, what's around them, basically. If we look at this example, that's blue, right? That's a cool color. Correct. And over here, we also have blue, another cool color. But bring them together though, and suddenly this one feels comparatively much warmer than this one, right? Like if we were to guess their actual temperatures, like in Celsius or Fahrenheit, most people would probably instinctively pick this one as the warmest looking, right? Individually, these would both be considered cool colors, but next to each other, they suddenly feel different. So knowing about color relativity would now give you another option when you want to maintain a good balance between cool and warm colors. You don't always have to go for yellow if you want to use a warm color, or blue for a cool color. Any color can take on any role depending on how you arrange them. You can't just use random colors though. I think the best way to think about it is to always use a little bit of the opposite color on the chromatic circle to cool or warm things up when needed. Like here, if I want to use a lot of reds for my drawing, I could still maintain a balance in color temperature by adding just a little bit of the colors opposite on the chromatic circle, like blues and greens, in just some areas of the drawing, and just in very little quantity. You don't need a lot. So the result here doesn't actually look like blue if we color pick it, right? But it feels a lot cooler than the red that we started with, and that looks good as a whole. It's a warm color that acts as a cool color relative to the others. And the balance in temperature feels right now with warm and cool colors present. And the same goes if we had a very cool color palette. Like this doesn't quite look as good as when we warm up some of those blues, and now we have a little bit of a range between the cool blues and the warm blues and purples. We have a better balance. That's something that excites the eye more. And that's a fact. But what I think is probably the most interesting thing about color theory in general is the color gray. It's the most important color that you never really think about. And here's why. And I know that I'm covering everything very quickly because this is just a short YouTube video, but if you're fascinated by colors just like I am, we go into it a lot more in depth in my art program, for which you can find a link down in the video description. The program really covers anything you would need to learn to be a pro artist. It's a massive program, similar in content to what you would find at the top art universities, but arguably way better in my biased opinion. And we just launched the Christmas sale, which is the biggest discount that we've had all year, so I don't want you to miss out on that one. Check it out with the link down below. The sale will run until the end of the month only, and you can even purchase the program as a gift for someone else if you think that they would love to take their art to the next level. Students get lifetime access, and you also get to join our private Discord community. It's just been awesome. You're missing out if you're not part of our art gang yet. All right, plug over. As I was saying, gray is the MVP of colors. We don't really think about it though, because as a color, it doesn't excite the eye much, but it's often the color that you'll find most used in paintings. Here, for example, we get splashes of colors, but most of it is just gray. Pretty cool, I think. In a sense, its primary function is as a wingman for all of the other colors. Like if you want to make a color pop, put gray next to it. Any color will look more vibrant against it. It's the glue that holds all of the other colors together, like the flower in a cake. It's a color that doesn't even need hue or saturation, right? You can paint only using grays, only using values, and it'll still look good. And that's why I usually recommend my students to start painting in black and white and then move on to the hue and the saturation as a separate next step, because the values alone will make or break a painting. And real quick, another cool property of the color gray is its chameleon effect. You can place it next to any vibrant color and will always magically look like it's tinted the opposite color on the chromatic circle. In a way, it auto balances color palettes. See how this looks kind of like a cool red? Yet it has zero saturation at all. It's not red at all. It's just an illusion that we can take advantage of as artists. We'll often find grays in the form of shadows or as transition colors between more vibrant colors. And with all of that knowledge, you should be able to more easily pick colors that work well together. But when in doubt, use color harmonies, aka color recipes that are known to be aesthetically pleasing. It's very easy to select a team of colors that don't work well together. It's too easy almost. So a color harmony is a way to pick a great team all the time, or in this case, pick a good color palette all the time. There are many color harmonies, so let's look quickly at a bunch that you might know, and some I'm pretty sure you'll be hearing for the first time. The simplest one is monochromatic, which uses a single hue with different values and saturation levels. A dyad harmony combines two colors separated by one color on the wheel, while a complementary harmony will use two different colors opposite on the chromatic circle for maximum contrast. Then there's split complementary that offers a variation by using two colors adjacent to the direct opposite instead of the opposite itself. So like a twist on complementary colors. Then the triad harmony employs three colors positioned at equal distances on the color wheel. Analogous harmony uses three adjacent colors from any quarter on the wheel, often creating a more relaxed and cohesive feel. Then double complementary becomes more complex by using two sets of complementary colors that are adjacent to each other. The rectangular tetrad is similar, but skips one color on each side, while the square tetrad places four colors at equal distances, forming a square on the wheel. And finally, polychromatic harmony uses 5 or more colors from across the wheel, typically placed at equal distances. Using color harmonies like these is not foolproof, but it's pretty close, so use them. They're used everywhere, in films, music videos, animated movies, graphic design, etc. It's everywhere because it works. And they should be particularly useful to the few of you that are colorblind out there. And actually, an even easier way to get good color palettes is to use a tool to generate one, like the color tool on the Adobe website. Now, with everything you learned today, you should be equipped to create good color palettes on your own, but you can always use that tool if needed. But yeah, I hope this was helpful. You know what to do if it was. Tell your friends, tell your dog, yell it to your neighbors. They should all subscribe to the channel and learn art with us. Also, since you've been a good student, you get freebies. You can get one of my 2 custom brush packs with the link in the video description, and it's free. And there you'll also find a link to some exercise files with a bunch of drawings that you can practice coloring with if that helps. And also don't forget, I have a huge discount on my art program until the end of